Hello everyone and welcome to lecture 5, and we're talking about the internet today. And as you can see in this photo, we have a group of people, a group of young people who are taking a photo, and it looks like they're probably going to tag themselves, which is something that commonly happens on the internet. Let's have a look at what we're talking about this week. Well, we have the week 5 midterm test, and we'll have that at the end of this week. As you can see in this little summary box up here, it's the Global English 5 midterm test. Test is worth 30% of your final score for Global English 5. On the front page you need to write your student name, your student number. You will get your score, which your score will be marked out of 100 and then converted to a percentage out of 30. This week it's also important to watch the vocabulary videos. You can go back over the last 5 weeks of this course and look at some of the older videos and refresh your memory. These will help you with listening and vocabulary, but they will also help you to write good sentences if you can use the phrases for the speaking, for the writing. This week as well, we're looking at the present perfect tense. Is used when we use have or has plus the past participle. So as we can see in this sentence, the internet has changed the way people communicate. We don't give a time, we don't say 10 years ago or 15 years ago, because that would be past simple. Instead, with the present perfect, we use this form has plus verb in the past participle form, which is, in this example, has changed. So the internet has changed the way people communicate is a good example of a present perfect tense sentence. Let's talk now about the pictures, as we always do. And first question, what do you see in the 4 pictures? Well, in these 4 pictures I can see images which are related to the internet in some way. In picture A, I see a man and he's sitting outside, and it looks like he's got a tablet computer of some sort. He is also staring up into the sky, so it gives you the feeling that he's outside, that he's free, and that he's using the internet from anywhere that he wants to be. In picture B, we can see 4 people. They are standing together. The lady in the front of the photo is actually taking the photo, so it's what we call a selfie or a group selfie. These people are posing. It looks like they're standing in a high location with a city in the background and mountains in the way distant background. Looks like a nice blue sunny day, and you can imagine that this photo could be tagged and put onto a social media website. In picture 3, we can see a person who is playing a game, and he's playing a game using his laptop computer. He is looks like he's got a gun. He's walking towards a castle, and this is something that happens a lot on the internet, is that people play games for entertainment, and they sometimes have multiplayer games where they're playing people from many different countries. In picture D, we see fingers on a keyboard, and this is another example of the modern world where we use computers a lot, the internet, and a lot of the communication we do is through written communication and typed communication, and to do that we need to use a keyboard, as you can see. Let's look now at question 2. What do you usually do on the internet? Do you find this enjoyable? A lot of the time on the internet I look at social media sites such as Facebook, and I do find this enjoyable because it's a great way to keep in contact with friends, with family. I can see what other people are doing, I can see which pictures they're posting, I can see some of the messages they're sending, I can see some of the pages that they like and look at different groups. Some groups are private, which only members can access. Other groups are public, and you can go in there and see updated information. A lot of companies also have pages on Facebook, and so this is a place where you can find information about a company, maybe some of their key information. I think that social media is a fantastic tool. There's hundreds of other social media sites which are gaining popularity. There's not just 1 or 2 big ones, but there's many others that you can use, including blogging, micro-blogging such as Twitter, there's YouTube, there's a whole bunch of other image-related social media sites such as Instagram. There's a whole world of entertainment out there for people. Question 3, what do you think are the advantages and disadvantages of using the internet? Well, the internet is a fantastic tool for communication. It's a great way that you can keep in contact, as I said, through social media, but you can also keep in contact through email and through voice messaging services such as Skype. One of the disadvantages of using the internet is that it's quite addictive. So I think a lot of people can spend too much time on the internet, and that's not healthy, as we know. Sitting around is not too healthy, but also if you spend your time communicating through the internet rather than through face-to-face communication, you might lose some of those important social skills. Let's turn now to the midterm test, and the total time for the midterm test is 80 minutes, and we can see that this is divided into 5 minutes reading time at the start and then 75 minutes working time. Now, during the reading time, you cannot actually touch your pen, you cannot write any information. You've just got to go through the paper, and I advise you to look carefully at the questions, get a feeling for how long the test is so that you can manage your time effectively. Test type, well, it's a closed book test, which means you are not permitted to bring any materials into the test. There is no mobile phones, there's no books, there's nothing. You just have to bring your pen and yourself and get ready to answer the questions. Let's turn now to the actual structure of the test. Part 1 is listening. There's 10 questions in the listening, and those 10 questions are related to the listening that you'll hear. You'll only hear the listening played one time, so you have to be very careful that you can listen and answer the questions correctly. Before you do your listening, you have a couple of minutes to skim the questions. You need to look carefully and understand what these questions are asking you for so that you are prepared. And as we've said previously, it's a good idea to make predictions. Use the questions to get a summary of what the listening is about. So before the listening, you're actually prepared and you have some awareness of what the type of language you will hear is. In part 2, we have the vocabulary and grammar. We have 20 questions, and these questions are worth 1 mark each. The vocabulary and grammar is taken from the first 5 weeks of this course, so it's worth having a look back. You might need to have a look at the grammar guide, which is in the bookshelf on Moodle, and the vocabulary, as you know, we've been doing that each week for the 4 skills for listening, reading, writing and speaking. There's lots of vocabulary there through the videos and also the information on the workbook. In part 3, we have the reading, and in the reading we have again 10 questions and they're worth 2 marks each. The reading is quite a long reading, so it's really important that you use your skills of skimming, of scanning, of detailed reading so that you answer the question. So you need to use those same strategies that we've been using in the first 5 weeks of this course. Part 4 of the test is the writing, and there's 1 writing question and you have to answer that in 200 to 250 words. This part is worth 40 marks, so it's worth 40% of your overall test score, so it's really important that you write a strong essay. I suggest you write the paragraphs. You have the introduction, you have the body paragraphs and the conclusion. We've talked about this a number of times in this course about the correct way to write your essay. Look back over your notes, look back over your workbook to see examples of essays, and you need to try and use that same language, use that same punctuation, make sure you have correct spelling, and before you start writing, of course, you've got to do your ABC, analyze, brainstorm, and choose your best ideas that you're going to use in your essay. So overall, we can see there are 4 parts to this test. You'll need to work quickly through this test. We'll start with the listening, we'll move on to the vocabulary and grammar, where you need to work quite quickly through those questions, and then part 3, where you do the reading, you'll need to again work quite quickly through that reading to give you a lot of time to do your writing. Your writing, you should leave at least 30 minutes at the end of the test to do your writing, because you're going to need to write between 200 and 250 words. I suggest you make a strong plan, as we've discussed before. When you make a good plan, this will help you to write faster. In total, 100 marks.